Horror not all the time has to be based on messing up the mind and shadowy ghosts in the corner of rooms. Sometimes a really scary and sick-looking monster makes a horror series entertaining. The first horror manga that comes to mind is Kaiju or Creature by Shingo Honda. Fans of the channel know Honda for the series Psycho Pass, but before this, Creature was one of his most popular series with a questionable review score. So today, let's go over the first 4 volumes of the series and see if Creature lives up to the hype or if Psycho Pass was Honda's only good work.
But if you guys want to see more anime content like this one, then why not go down and hit that subscribe button.
If you guys really want a part 2 video to this series, then let's get this video to 2k likes. And remember guys to join the Discord server with the link in the description below. But without further ado, let's get on with it. At Tachikawa High School, 2 best friends, Akira Takashiro and Eiji Kudo, are in school when their other best friend, Miku Aizawa, has come back to Tokyo on a school trip. The other classmates think that Akira and Eiji are brothers due to their matching bracelet, but it was a gift from Miku before she moved away. The class president, now Shirosaki, is a bit unusual but is still popular with all of the boys in class. Akira just got promoted to the starting position in the basketball team. Eiji is excited for him but makes it into a competition. At the next game, whoever scores more will get to confess to Miku. Both of the boys have been in love with her since they were kids, and none of them told her how they felt when she left. So, to prevent some weirdo from getting her, Eiji acknowledges Akira as a rival. Akira goes to the storage closet to get a ball, but suddenly, the room begins to shake, and a shelf lands directly on top of Akira. When he wakes up, Akira crawls out and opens the door to hear crunching noises. He takes a closer look and sees Eiji's arm laying on the ground, ripped off from the body. Akira falls back and takes another peek inside to see multiple 3-fingered arms charging straight at him. He barricades the door and waits for the banging to stop, but after a bit, he takes another peek and spots his phone on the ground. He dashes to it and an alarm goes off, alerting the monstrous arms, whose fingers reveal razor-sharp teeth. He makes a run for it, slamming the door on the arms and tripping on some more dead bodies. A student pleads for help, but his lower half is getting eaten by the arms. Akira runs to his classroom to find a pile of dead bodies, and some eyes below that pile asking for help. It turned out to be Nao, who is freaked out and doesn't understand what is happening. The arms appear behind her, and Akira pushes her out of the way as they run away together. The ground begins to shake again as they're near the exit. They run out, but something huge crushes the school behind them. As they look up, they witness the massive body of an alien-like monster. The top of a body in a dome shape with 2 giant legs and a tail with 6 long thin arms coming. The monster raises its other foot, breaking through the other half of the school, and takes a step behind Akira and Nao. As it continues to walk towards the city, Akira tries to call for help, but there's no signal. They walk towards their town, but the destruction seems odd. That giant monster didn't do it. They see a woman in the distance asking for help, when suddenly she gets her face cut in half by another monster, with a giant claw as a hand. They take cover in a parking garage, but 2 other students are there, a bully by the name of Tadokoro and a nerd that they call Woolhead. They plan to work together, going to the closest house and moving on to the next. The first house that they choose to go to is Woolhead's, but Akira doesn't feel comfortable collaborating with someone like Tadokoro due to the way that he treats Woolhead. Akira smells something awful though, and then they turn to see the grotesque monster standing behind them. They run towards Woolhead's house, and a moving car crashes straight into the monster, tipping it over. As they reach the apartment, Woolhead begins to laugh, saying that he's prayed every day for something to destroy the world and kill everyone who has ever bullied him. Woolhead screams that there's a monster behind Tadokoro, but there's nothing there, as Woolhead runs to his apartment and locks them outside. Suddenly, the claw monster climbs up to their apartment, but gets taken down by a giant centipede-like monster that was at the school. They try to run to the elevator, but the centipede monster is blocking the way. It opens its mouth to reveal corpses of their own classmates. They run down the stairs as the centipede wraps around the apartment complex, destroying all the rooms and killing Woolhead. They run past a house with the TV playing the news. However, the news stations don't mention anything about the monsters. They check the phone again to see if there's service, but Akira saw that he got a message from Miku before the attack, saying that she was at Tachikawa Station. Akira wants to go, but Todokoro thinks it's a bad idea since the monsters would usually gather where most people would. However, Nao says that there's a self-defense force stationed there, so they might have an evacuation plan. The centipede monster finds them and they run away. Just when they think they're safe, they realize that there's more centipede monsters roaming around. One of them grabs Nao, but Akira saves her with a pipe, but also gets knocked away. Just before the monster was about to kill them, something else caught his attention and it left. The group wonders why that is, but when Akira threw away his pipe, they realize that it didn't make a noise when it fell. They check their surroundings and see a massive hole in the middle of the town. Todokoro has lost hope, but Akira has unfinished business and needs to go to the train station and tell her about Eiji. The group arrives at Tachikawa Station, filled with abandoned cars and corpses. They see a group of survivors running towards them, but they tell them to run, saying that the big one is coming. The ground quakes as an enormous monster emerges, dwarfing the buildings around it. Its body resembles jagged, armor-like layers with a grotesque head composed entirely of just sharp teeth. It shouts a deafening roar and everyone runs towards the exit. The volume ends with the survivors pushing Todokoro out of the way as the monstrous giant closes in, its relentless steps leaving nothing but destruction in its wake. The giant monster head towards the south exit, giving Akira, Nao, and Todokoro a chance to escape. As they reach a ledge overlooking the destroyed city, a voice calls out to them from the nearby cinema. A man motions them inside where a group of survivors have gathered. Akira scans the crowd, but Miku is nowhere to be seen. The man introduces himself as Mitsuru Takeshige, a former gym teacher, and offers them sanctuary. The survivors exchange what little information that they have, and Mitsuru invites Akira and his group to stay. Todokoro agrees, exhausted and eager for safety, but Akira refuses. He's determined to find Miku no matter the risk. Mitsuru and Todokoro try to convince him, insisting that the cinema is the safest place left, but Akira counters that no place is guaranteed safe. Nao asks for Akira's phone, studying a picture of Miku before handing it back. Nao is going to join him since he saved her life. Mitsuru still doesn't let them leave, while a brash survivor by the name of Majima argues that they should leave, claiming it's less trouble for the group. A survivor speculates that the monsters might have a resting period, offering a small window of opportunity. Against Mitsuru's protest, the theater owner volunteers to guide Akira, and Mitsuru reluctantly agrees to help. Outside, Mitsuru, Akira, and Nao scout the south exit, where the giant monster had passed earlier. Mitsuru hands Nao a handkerchief, but as he adjusts his pockets, a photo slips out. Akira picks it up, a picture of a young girl. Mitsuru hesitates before admitting that she's his daughter, but they've been separated. The group reaches the ticket gate, now sealed off. Akira notices another massive hole beyond the exit and runs up to the roof for a better look. From above, he spots a similar hole on the east side. A little to the left of it, the giant monster rests atop a cluster of buildings. To the west, where the self-defense force was supposed to be stationed, there's nothing but another hole. Akira realizes that it's not random holes, but an encircling trench around the entire city, meaning they're trapped in Tachikawa. As Akira possesses his revelation, two new survivors approach and lead them to another hidden group. Akira immediately asks about Miku, but no one has seen her. Mitsuru begins organizing a plan to lead the group to the cinema safely. Before they leave, Akira is approached by Mako Sakura, a former classmate from middle school. She hints that she saw Miku but doesn't elaborate. Akira's thoughts are interrupted by an ominous presence, a massive needle-like monster standing behind the group. Without warning, it slices a man's head off clean, revealing a mantis-like monster with elongated limbs and a predatory stance. Panic erupts. The survivors scatter as the monsters strike, its razor-sharp limbs carving through flesh. Akira, Nao, and Sakura break away from the main group, only to witness another mantis-like creature impale a man, causing his body to grotesquely swell before exploding. The trio ducks into a store as more monsters descend. As they hide, Akira's alarm suddenly blares, drawing the creatures towards them as they tear apart the store. Luckily, Akira, Nao, and Sakura set up that distraction to escape, but finds themselves face to face with another mantis. Mitsuru appears, hurtling an object to divert the monster before using a fire extinguisher to fight off the others. As they make their way out, a survivor collapses. Mitsuru stops to help, but a monster appears behind the man. As Mitsuru tries to leave, the man grabs his ankle, accusing him of leading them to their deaths, saying that it's all his fault that they're dead. Furious, Mitsuru kicks the man hard in the face, leaving him to the mantis monster. However, Akira blames himself for all of their deaths, believing him running to the rooftop led to the group's demise. Before continuing, he demands to know where Sakura saw Miku. Mitsuru, frustrated, decides to just abandon Akira and focus on the others' safety. He urges Nao and Sakura to follow him, but Nao refuses to leave Akira's side. Sakura begins to explain when Akira suddenly shoves Nao out of the way as two enormous centipede monsters crash down, narrowly missing him. The creatures twist and coil together, forming a massive dome. Nao tries to stay with Akira, but Mitsuru drags her away, shouting to shut up and just listen to him. As more centipedes appear, Mitsuru picks up Nao and forces her to retreat to the cinema. Back at the theater, the survivors ask about Akira. Sakura hesitates, but Mitsuru coldly declares that he's dead. He informs the group about the trenches and the apparent absence of the self-defense force. Turning to Nao, he sternly warns everyone that the cinema is the safest place in Tachikawa right now, so no one must leave. Nao stands defiant, saying that she's leaving to go save Akira. Mitsuru snaps, "How many times do I have to tell you? Shut up and do as I say." Elsewhere, Akira regains consciousness beneath the centipede's dome. He uses his phone flashlight to reveal a grotesque sight: baby centipedes writhing as a massive tentacle gives birth to more. The babies wake up and the walls begin to fall and shatter, revealing a fully grown centipede monster. Akira runs away as he sees that the city is now filled with centipede domes. He races back to the theater to warn the others, only to find it eerily empty. The volume ends with Mitsuru sitting alone on the stage, blood smeared across his face. Mitsuru sits alone on the stage, blood streaked across his face, muttering, "Something terrible happened in this theater." He claims a monster broke in, and though they managed to stop it, the survivors panicked and barricade themselves in the bathroom. Akira surveys the eerie intact room, spotting bloodstains on the floor but no signs of destruction. Doubts creep into his mind. Did a monster really attack here? Mitsuru urges Akira to speak to the others and reassure them. Reluctantly, Akira heads to the bathroom and talks to Nao through the door. He tells her that it's safe and that the monsters are gone, but Nao's voice trembles. "What are you talking about?" When Akira mentions Mitsuru's story, Nao suddenly screams for him to run. Before Akira can react, Mitsuru grabs him by the neck, dragging him backwards. Mitsuru growls, threatening to kill Akira if she doesn't come out. Nao bursts through the door, swinging a mop at Mitsuru, but he catches it. As tension peaks, Majima enters with supplies, distracting Mitsuru long enough for Akira to knee him in the chin. Nao grabs another mop and smashes it against Mitsuru's head. The two escape, but Mitsuru grabs a sledgehammer and charges after them. He swings wildly, nearly hitting Nao, and screams at Akira, blaming him for always putting her in danger. They manage to barricade themselves in a storage room where they find Todokoro and another survivor, Takuya, bound and beat up. Takuya reveals that Mitsuru's leadership took a dark turn before Akira returned. After smacking Nao, Mitsuru turned on Todokoro when he tried to intervene. Takuya had also been beaten for attempting to stop him. Mitsuru had solidified control over the group through violence, sending Majima and a movie nerd survivor to scavenge for supplies. However, the movie nerd used the opportunity to escape the theater entirely. As Akira frees the others, Mitsuru begins smashing the door open. Akira tries to reason with him, bringing up his daughter, hoping to appeal to his humanity. But he admits that the girl wasn't his daughter, but a former student he had relentlessly pushed towards his idea of perfection. But when she accused him of sexual harassment, it ruined his whole career. But it's all okay now, because he found Nao, who he sees potential in being his ideal partner, his queen. The group readies themselves to fight back, but a centipede monster suddenly crashes through a window, killing Takuya. The creature lunges at Nao, but Mitsuru, wielding his sledgehammer, slams it in the head. The monster retaliates, biting Mitsuru's arm and flinging him across the room. Tadokoro grabs the hammer and strikes the centipede, distracting it long enough for Mitsuru to deliver the killing blow. As they catch their breath, Majima enters the room, screaming that there's an army of creatures inside. The survivors ready themselves for another fight, knowing that they have to free the people trapped in the bathroom. But centipedes swarm the hallway outside the door. Inside, a panicked survivor mistakes the noise for her boyfriend and opens the door, only to be grabbed and devoured. Sakura slams the door shut as another monster pounds against it. Akira charges in with a trolley, smashing into the monster and creating an opening. Sakura escapes, but the older couple, trapped inside the bathroom, urges them to leave. Akira hesitates but promises to come back for them. Outside, chaos reigns. 3 massive centipede monsters loom over the city, their swarms of offspring spilling onto the streets. As the survivors brace for another fight, a car barrels through, crushing the baby centipedes. The vehicle skids to a stop, narrowly dodging the mother centipede that destroyed the side of the theater. The movie nerd was the driver, as he tells the group to get in. There's not enough room for everyone, so Majima kicks Nao out of the car, intending to use her as bait. Before anyone could react though, Mitsuru snaps, grabbing Majima and hurling him towards the monsters. Majima's screams are cut short as he's torn apart, giving Nao a chance to climb into the car. The mother centipede chases them as the car tears through the ruined streets. The movie nerd expertly drifts around obstacles, but a baby centipede clings to their rear. Akira directs them through narrow alleyways. They finally stop at the edge of the trench, encircling the city. The giant centipede looms over them, posed to strike, but then stops. It stares at them for a tense moment before retreating back to the station. The survivors catch their breath and share a small meal. Akira presses Sakura for details about Miku, and she reluctantly admits that there's no point in looking for her. That's because Miku is already out of Tachikawa. She explains that Miku was last seen boarding a monorail to Tama Center, just minutes before the earthquake had trapped them. Relieved, Akira resolves to find a way to escape Tachikawa. The movie nerd suggests a risky plan. There's a helipad used by the self-defense force. If they could find a helicopter, they might be able to escape. However, no one knows how to fly, but the movie nerd was excited to do it, knowing that he could be the one to save everyone. That's why he escaped through the back door of the theater. Mitsuru grabs him by the neck, furious, blaming him for the destruction of the cinema and his plan to build a kingdom with Nao. But the nerd smirks, knowing that they can't kill him because he's the main character of this movie. The volume ends with tension intensifying, but a faint sound cuts through the silence. The survivors look up as 2 choppers appear overhead. The group waves frantically at the helicopters, but their signals are ignored as the aircraft disappeared into the horizon. As the helicopters are leaving, the movie nerd pulls out his phone and starts recording commentary. Tadokoro snatches the phone, scrolling through past footage, only to find a video showing baby centipedes breaking into the cinema. Fury erupts within the group as they confront the nerd. His nonchalant response was that he just wanted to document for history, only fueling Mitsuru's rage. Pinning the nerd to the ground, Mitsuru is ready to kill him, but Akira steps in to calm him down. The nerd seizes the moment to remind them that they should just be focusing on chasing down the helicopters to escape instead of fighting each other. With tension still high, the group piles into the car, chasing the helicopters towards a nearby helipad. When they arrive, the helicopters are eerily empty. Before they can process the scene, an army truck barrels past them, narrowly missing their vehicle. Tadokoro tries flagging them down, but the soldiers inside remain unresponsive. They follow the truck to a station where the soldiers disembark and vanish into a nearby building. Akira, Tadokoro, and the movie nerd decide to investigate, leaving the others in the army truck. Inside, they find the station crawling with monster eggs. As they explore, an elevator arrives with a horrifying clawed monster devouring a corpse inside. They try to sneak away, but Tadokoro trips, alerting the creature. Before it could attack though, a thin mantis-like monster suddenly kills the clawed creature. The building erupts into chaos as mantis and claw monsters engage in territorial combat. The trio flees downstairs but is blocked by a centipede. Soldiers storm the scene, subduing the creature with tranquilizers. Todokoro eagerly approaches them, but the soldiers just ignore him, focused on capturing smaller creatures and collecting samples. Akira realizes that something is off, and they tail the soldiers as they secure more monsters into crates. Outside, Mitsuru, Nao, and Sakura remain hidden in the truck until soldiers discover them. Guns drawn, the soldiers order them to get out. Mitsuru resists and is swiftly subdued. Nao pleads for their lives, but a soldier coldly replies, "Our mission does not include saving lives." Akira rushes back, warning everyone of a giant centipede approaching. As the massive creature barrels towards them, the soldiers launch a barrage of rockets. The monster is injured but demolishes the building in its takedown. Amid the chaos, the nerd commandeers their car and drives it straight at the centipede, leaping out at the last moment. The soldiers blow up the vehicle, momentarily staggering the creature. Using the distraction, the group steals a ride on the soldiers' truck to the helipad. At the helipad, the soldiers load crates containing captured monsters into helicopters. When Akira begs to board, the commanding officer refuses, claiming that they've seen too much. The movie nerd, always optimistic, shows a dark video that he filmed back at the store. A human figure surrounded by centipedes, but they're not attacking him. The leader tried to take the phone, but the movie nerd vows to break it if they don't let them on. The leader hesitates but ultimately agrees, splitting the group into two helicopters, one with Akira, Nao, and Mitsuru, and the other Todokoro, Sakura, and the movie nerd. As the helicopters lift off, Akira peers down at the hole, wondering why the creatures wouldn't get near it, noticing something strange. At the bottom of the hole, a massive, unblinking eye stares back at him. Panic spreads as Todokoro notices the same thing, but the movie nerd is thrilled at the discovery. Before Akira can ask what it means, the leader tells him that they shouldn't be frightened. They're gonna go to the headquarters to report everything that they experience. Mitsuru tells him that he's not going to help a bunch of randoms, but the leader points his gun at them, saying that they are a precious source of information, and that the government will be responsible for their safety. Nao is shocked that the government knew about what was going on in Tachikawa, but the leader says that the trench that was meant to quarantine the city didn't work due to that thing in the hole. Suddenly, his body begins to contort. His head explodes as a mantis monster emerges, having melted its way out of its crate. Chaos erupts as the creature attacks Nao, and Mitsuru shields her, taking a fatal stab to the shoulder. Bleeding heavily, he wrestles the mantis, ripping its nose off with sheer determination. The mantis cuts off his arm and tries to throw him off the helicopter. Shouting to Nao, he tells her that he will never die and that he will see her soon. As Nao cries, he tells her that he loves her, and in his final act, Mitsuru hurls himself and the mantis out of the helicopter. The remaining helicopter barely escapes, but the relief is short-lived. The second helicopter, carrying Sakura, Todokoro, and the nerd, is obliterated by the giant's swipe. The pilot of Akira's helicopter tries to evade the giant's monstrous jaws, but its massive tail strikes, crippling the craft. As the helicopter spirals out of control, Akira and Nao hold hands, bracing for impact. The volume ends with the wreckage smoldering on the other side of the trench, and the centipede sample looming over the parts, clutching onto Akira's charred wristband in its mandibles. I really did enjoy this series. I'm really glad that I found a monster invasion story similar to something like Cloverfield. I love the designs of the monsters. They're all just so sick with a ton of details and just a lot of inspirations from different horror medias. I love the dynamics of the survivors. Akira is that good main character who just doesn't really solve things, but he does try his hardest to do it. It's kind of realistic and his actions are pretty understandable. He's like the ultimate ride or die. Nao is a girl who tries to calm down the scenario, but is clearly in love with Akira. She just doesn't show it yet, but hopefully in the future they do show that if they do survive the helicopter crash. I also really like Todokoro. He was like an annoying, mean bully, but he showed his true self pretty quickly. He's scared, he's cowardly, but he sticks up when needed and has always become sort of like the comedian of the group. He was first very unlikable, but now I started to tolerate him. He was a pretty good, interesting character. And honestly, I think the only thing that I didn't like about this is that we don't really see much of what happened between them before the monsters. We don't really know much about now. We just know that she was popular in high school. We know that she was the class president, but we didn't know how she was as a child or things leading up to it. We also don't know much about Todokoro. We just know that he was a bully, but we don't know anything about his backstory or why he became a bully. I feel like having backstory to these characters will make a lot of their dynamic a lot better. Makes us definitely enjoy watching them more. And the other characters, I could literally care less about. There's nothing much to Sakura except that she knows about Miku and that she's known Akira since like middle school. But that's about it. Other than that, she's just pretty useless. She's just there in the background. She doesn't really do much. The movie nerd is just an annoying, irritating character, but what makes him even more annoying is that he proves the main characters wrong by getting them out of trouble multiple times. He did save him with the car, he did save him with the plan of the helicopter, he did bargain them in the helicopters, he did also cause a massive distraction towards a monster. He was really useful, but it's his ego that it just makes us hate this character so much, and I feel like it is on purpose, so it's kind of good that I really hate this character. But I think one of the worst characters in this whole series is the PDF file Mitsuru. He is just a musclehead that was at first well-spoken, clearly sane, but then he just gets roided up mid-arc and just becomes this really dumb gym bro who's obsessed with this minor. I love though that with every win that the group gets, the more trouble that they get into. The situation is always intense. It lets us breathe for just a couple of seconds until something terrible just happens. The tension is always there, and the monsters just get scarier and scarier every time they're shown on screen. There are a lot of things that I need answers to. A lot of stuff about the creatures, a lot of stuff about the army men, a lot of stuff of what's happening on the outside world, especially with now just the humanoid creature that seems to be controlling the centipedes, but also the giant eyeball that's in the hole. I don't know how they survived that helicopter crash, or even if they did survive the helicopter crash, but we have a lot of volumes to go, and I really need to know what happens next. And if you guys really want to know what happens next, then let's just get this video to 2k likes, and I'll be having it up soon. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to join the Discord server. The link will be in the description below. And if you want more horror manga videos like this one, then why not hit that subscribe button. But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.